Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting for Thursday, September 14th. We have two members on Zoom, so we got to do the roll call. Mark Sullivan?
Here.
Larry?
Here.
Mark?
Yep. Here.
Doug?
Here.
Yes.
Josette? Susan?
Here.
Scott? Steve?
Yes.
And then on Zoom, Jean?
Yes.
And Audrey.
Yes.
So that gets us,
So we're missing two,
and
right?
Dennis, I'm here.
Lisa's coming in.
Lisa's coming in, and Kathleen said she could not be in attendance.
Okay.
So that gives us 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, I'm 11, and she'll make 12. Perfect. So Jim, we've got 3 articles on the agenda tonight.
Sure.
We have discussed these previously.
We have. So the 3 items remaining for this evening are Article 2, which is the in-year budget adjustment, Article 4, which is the stabilization, and Article 5, which is capital stabilization. So Article 2 was requesting funds to the reserve fund, legal fund, town clerk, Walpole Public Schools, Norfolk Aggie, Board of Health, OPEB, and capital stabilization. As you might note, I made some changes since our first meeting based off of some of the feedback members gave me. Specifically, I added some more money in there towards OPEB. We changed some money for the Board of Health, added $10,000 in there for some of the for some of the opioid funds that we're going to be receiving as part of a national settlement. This is going to go towards a crisis hotline that Melissa currently has in place, and she was hoping to get funded through some fundraising, gift funds, but to date, we figured we'd just fund it through there since it's a totally legitimate request and actually part of the opioid settlement that we have to put money towards that. So I changed around the reserve fund a little bit. To be quite honest with you, I went back and forth a little bit with the reserve fund. I had that as low as $100,000. But after talking to some of my colleagues in some of the surrounding towns, I am concerned about the migrant situation. I think it briefly came up at your last meeting. I spoke to the Plainville town administrator today, and he literally is getting zero help whatsoever from the state. He's got National Guard. I think he told me he had 4 National Guard people stationed in Plainville. Migrants are occupying 2 hotels. National Guard's only at 1 hotel. They didn't receive orders to be at the other. It's a cluster. It's a mess. And I'm concerned that we may need some additional funding over the next year or so, and this is going to give us some flexibility. I know Jody's heard the same from the Finance Association that she belongs to. So again, if we don't use this money, so be it. It's just going to close out to free cash at the end of the year. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have.
We're up to Larry.
Do we have any, well, I mean, I know the hotel next to Clyde's. Do we have any other hotels in
Yeah.
Walpole?
So we have 2 others. We have the Walpole Motel still.
Oh, okay.
That's over across from the old Minuteman, but we also have the one down near Eastern Pearl. Is that Fairfield? Yeah, whatever that's called.
Oh, yeah.
In home or H2 or something.
We had acquaintances that had gone to the football game, and they were from out of state, and they stayed at Fairfield. And the comment coming back from them was, they have arrived.
Yeah.
No numbers are being mentioned, but there is an infiltration that's already at Fairfield and has been for the last 10 days.
Okay.
So I think you're very smart with being conservative the way you are with the potential, and hopefully it just stays a potential, but we know it won't be.
Any other questions on Article 2? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Motion for favorable action on Article 2. I need to say the dollar value, or just as noted in the memo?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we're
the
good.
funding sources as identified.
The
The
funding
reason I
sources.
spelled it out like that is just so we need it for the main motion of town meeting, so Jody knows which account to put the funds into.
I'll second.
Excellent. So I got Doug, Susan. So we have Lisa.
I'll abstain since I missed the discussion.
Okay. Mark?
Yes.
Larry?
I'm staying, I missed it too.
Mark?
No.
No?
No.
Doug?
Yes.
You're a yes.
Yes.
Josette?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Steve? Audrey?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
So that would be, and you, oh yeah, me, I'm a yes, thank you. So we're at,
831? Are we at 12?
we had 3 abstains. We
Three
had 12, yep.
abstains, 8, yeah,
3, 1, so 4, 8.
and Lisa
8.
abstained.
8, 1, 3. 8 yes, 1 no, 3 abstains.
Yes, excuse me.
Perfect.
Penny? Through
Yes.
you. Mark, I'm just curious, why did you vote against it?
When we had the discussion previously, I was hoping to move the capital stabilization to tax relief as
Okay.
as part of the motion.
Excellent.
Right.
On to Article 4.
Okay, Article 4 is the stabilization fund. That requests $1.3 million into the stabilization fund. As noted in my August 24th memo, the balance as of June 23 was $10,458,408. So this will get us just above just around $11.7 million in that account.
And that puts us at,
Almost exactly 10%, about 10%. Yeah.
good. So we've been working on that for
Years,
a decade
Very,
plus.
very long time.
years.
Yeah,
To give you some perspective, in 10 years ago, FY '23, we had $1.4 million in that account.
okay.
Yeah.
So, and then next year would be just to maintain at the 10% level.
Pretty much maintain, maybe gain a little bit, but
Okay.
to be consistent.
And the hope is that this will get us the AAA.
That is the hope. Jody reminded me, we're likely going out to borrow in the spring, so
Okay.
we'll have a little bit better perspective there.
Excellent. Any questions, comments, thoughts? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Motion for favorable action on Article 4 for the stabilization of $1,000,003 from free cash.
Second?
Susan? Well, I gotta do that. Lisa? Yes? Mark?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Yes.
Mark? Doug?
Yes.
Yes,
Josette? Susan?
Yes.
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Steve? Audrey?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
And I am a yes.
Okay. 1200.
1200. Article 5, capital stabilization.
Sure. As noted in your adjustment with the capital this past week, I added $10,000 in there. So the recommendation here is $1,360,000 into capital stabilization. If this item is acted on favorably, in addition to the $1 million that was just placed over there, we'll have about $5.2 million in that account.
And most of that, just as a refresher, is obviously for capital projects, but we're looking, a big capital project is the,
We've identified basically, we're gonna keep tucking this money away, we have for the last few years, putting it away to offset the borrowing of the high school here. The plan is to not fully drain this thing down to completely zero a year from now, maintain $300,000 to $600,000 in there, keep a healthy balance, because there's a few years where we have gaps in our borrowing schedule that we're going to have to move money from the capital stabilization account up to the debt, the borrowing to help pay it. So just keep that balance.
Excellent.
Healthy.
Larry?
Do you expect to add more before you get to the high school project? Another next year, or?
Actually, a conversation after we left here, earlier this week, I stepped out and spoke to the business manager, spoke to Bridget, spoke to Nancy Gallivan, and Chair Syrick on the school committee. And I said, listen, if we go forward with this and we do fund the HVAC, I'm gonna need the schools to buy in as far as funding the capital stabilization going into FY '25. Because right now, this past May, we put $340,000 in there. So we took $340 and we take this additional $1 million in there, we're about $1.3 million and change. I am anticipating we need at least $1.3 million. I'd rather $1.5 million, honestly, funded as part of the FY '25 budget in there. So the plan is yes, and the 4 school folks shook their head at me and said, yes, we're in on this. We understand why it needs to get done. So,
Because that's taking money out of the budget, per se?
no, because if they said, no, I'll use the $1 million that we just moved over. We think that $1 million came from Chapter 70 with the additional funding there, through the 66-34 split. You know, it would complicate things because we need to, if we're gonna go for a $37 million high school project, which looks like we're going to, we need that extra money in there to help fund it.
And out of the 37 million, what do you expect the capitalization fund to fund? Forecasting, I know it's still early, but what do you guess?
Ballpark, 6 to 6.5 million. If we're at 5.2 right now, and again, I just want to make sure we don't drain that completely. We keep the 300 to 600 in there, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we got a motion?
Motion for favorable action on Article 5 in the amount of 1.36 million, 360 million from free cash.
Second.
Mark? T. Excellent. Lisa?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Josette?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Audrey?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
And I'm a yes.
12-0-0.
12-0-0. So we have then voted on everything. We do have a couple of items that we said recommendation at town meeting, which we hope to discuss the first half hour of the public hearing.
Night of the public hearing, which is August 12th. So right now I have 7 to 7. August.
And all this day.
We're going backwards.
October 12th, first half hour of that night, I have us talking about the 2 remaining zoning articles, and then the public hearing kicking off at 7:30.
Okay.
Okay, so we start at 7 and then the public hearing 7:30.
Anything else that we need to?
That's our next meeting, October 12th.
Yes.
And where will that be?
Right here.
The crowds won't fit in.
I like it this way.
Well, we did it at the senior center, and we had 5 people one time and 15 people another time.
Exactly.
Yeah, so,
Now that Joe's gone, we don't
I
have
was
our
gonna
one
say.
standard version.
yeah, we had no.
I was all prepared last year, my first time as chairman, and no one shows up.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Through you, to Jim. With all of these floods and disasters going on everywhere, can you respond to what we might have in terms of vulnerabilities? I mean, if we should get inundated with, I was driving home yesterday and there's a tornado watch in Norfolk County. I'm like, stepped on the gas. Do we have dams, culverts, issues that you and DPW are concerned about?
I think the biggest one, the one we're concerned the most about, and it's right, it's in East Walpole, and it's privately owned. It's right behind that company that bakes the pies in there.
Yeah.
That
Humble Pie.
old, yeah,
The old
yeah.
Kendall.
Yeah. That one's privately owned. It's in disrepair. It's on the list, but no one owns it. If it floods and it breaks, it's gonna flood South Norwood, and it's a big problem for them, yeah.
Oh, South, really?
And H&V will really have a problem in there because they rely on a lot of that water to do a lot of the work that they do. That's probably the one that I'm concerned about. The Allen Dam is set to be replaced in a few years. That's been on the plan of the Army Corps of Engineers. I know that's in our long-term capital plan because the town has to fund 1/5 of it. And I think it's like $1.5 million. Again, that's in our capital plan. But when Roger Turner was still around, he showed me pictures, and I remember seeing pictures when that gave out. And I am a little bit concerned, if we get floods like they had in Leominster this week, what could happen down here? Because that stream here is gonna completely fill up, and it's gonna create a real, not stream, but riverway right out here, is gonna could create a real problem. So yeah, I'm concerned about it. When I saw those roads in Leominster, Patrick and I were joking, like, what do you do? Like, where do you start? And so many miles of roads just completely gone. Yeah,
Yeah, it's frightening.
yeah.
Can I just ask a follow-up? So if the dam is privately owned, but they're not maintaining it,
No one knows who the owner is.
so does the town, it falls to the town
Doesn't
to,
fall to us, and we don't want the ownership of it because
does the state, I mean,
the state's aware
if
of
it
it.
fails and whoever catastrophic damage, is it one of these, I don't understand, like, someone needs to step in and fix it before a catastrophe, but no one's on the hook to do it?
No one is on the hook to do it, and we've raised the concern because obviously there's 40B project going in right there in Pinnacle Point, and that obviously would affect that general area. No one's interested with it. I certainly don't want to have the town take ownership of it because the price tag starts in the millions to fix that. And obviously, John Rogers would be really impacted because it's two of his communities right there. He's asked the Office of Dam Safety or Dam Inspections, whatever that division is at the state. They're well aware of it, but it's one of those I don't want to touch it. Why would we touch it type of thing? So they're aware of it, but
Bury their head.
Who owns somebody owns that property?
Who owns the land?
somehow, and it was well before me, it was like the 80s, early 90s, it got cut up. Someone by the name of Lloyd Martin. And the last I had heard, he was located in New York. I was told by the previous town administrator it was a made-up name, made-up deed. Someone walked away from it, and they can't locate the person. Yeah.
Little town Walpole.
Yeah.
The scandal this week. Any other questions, comments, thoughts?
Lisa, you look very perplexed.
I don't like the idea that there's a dam that no one's gonna touch until it becomes a big problem.
I don't
I
think
don't either.
anybody likes it, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's the reality of the issue that you're dealing with.
I wanted to be honest with you. That's something that I worry about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
If there's nothing else, do we have a motion to dismiss?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
First, Lisa?
Yes.
Mark? Larry?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
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 Steve, yes. Audrey?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
I'm a yes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.